Hey folks, it's me, TheTacticalBrit, and of course Battlefield has brought its final update for the year, Update 3.1. Now, it was very hopeful that we would see an update that would resolve a lot of the frustrating issues in 2042 before the holiday period, meaning that all of the developers will likely be on a break through Christmas, and we probably won't see another update again until about late January, early February. So there's lots of really interesting fixes and changes in this, and some stuff that's really good that'll make the game a little bit more tolerable and enjoyable over the winter break. Now, before we begin today's video, this video is brought to you today by Intel and Gigabyte, and they sent me out one of their fantastic Aero 15 OLED laptops. This thing features a 4K AMOLED display that's been factory calibrated and certified for incredible color accuracy, which is great for editing and photo editing. It also features an i7 that boosts up to 4.6 GHz and an RTX 3070, so if you're looking to play some games or get some serious editing power out of the CPU and the NVENC encoder in the 3070, it's utterly crazy. It also has fantastic connectivity featuring Thunderbolt 4, mini DisplayPort and HDMI 2.1, meaning you can hook it up to all of the brand new TVs and use it as a great gaming station. This thing is capable of achieving over 100 frames in Warzone at 1440p on high settings, and even more on competitive settings. So if you're somebody who is a creative or in the creative space, but also needs power and gaming on the go, this thing is a perfect fit, and I highly recommend it. It's been really great to use. Now let's dive into Update 3, and there are some really interesting and central focuses of this update, including improvements to bullet and hit registration consistency, reducing the overall spread and recoil on weapons, and finally, balancing the bolt. Thank God, it's been a very long time. There's also some fixes for a couple of bugs, and some improvements to menu options, including people who want to opt out of crossplay on Xbox. Allegedly, there's also multiple audio improvements as well that will improve the sound experience, focusing on clarity, distance, and directional perception. There's also been some improvements to make aim assist more consistent in this update, so hopefully that'll be a good effect in the game. So let's talk about what's changed and all the critical changes on the surface. The big ones for me are balancing, so at the moment we're seeing some pretty drastic changes to all of the 30mm, 40mm and 57mm cannon weapons in the game, massively reducing the effectiveness of the bolt, which is something that I'm very happy to see. The Ranger, which is a very frustrated part of the game, has also seen decreases to combat range and overall health. So super frustrating elements of the game have been massively toned down, and so has recoil and spread as well, making the guns feel even more impactful and even more useful. And I've got to say that the effect is pretty pronounced and feels very good, especially in some of the LMG areas, and things just seem to work there. Frag grenades and proximity sensors have also been changed as well, making frag spam a little less more common and proximity sensors less effective, meaning that you won't be constantly spotted all the time. Players can now also only throw one proximity sensor, which is really good news. I've got to say, generally speaking, this patch focuses a lot on the weapons and making them feel better, and also balancing. It feels like the frustration from the gameplay and the balancing of the gameplay has been massively improved here. We're no longer seeing this cannon spam, issues with the bolt, issues with weapons just deleting you over range. And we're also seeing all of the weapons' effectiveness, especially LMGs, being put in a better place, and it's something I'm really glad we're seeing. And on top of that, we've seen the Ranger nerfed, and even better in this update, if you're playing on Breakthrough, the objectives that are on the rooftops have now been removed. Kaleidoscope, Orbital, and Hourglass have had rooftop capture objectives completely removed and repositioned, meaning that Breakthrough is now a much more enjoyable experience across all three of those maps. And that effectively means that Breakthrough now has 7 proper maps rather than just 4 that were working properly. I'll have to do my own individual testing on aim assist, but I'm really glad to see that that's being pushed. Aim assist is definitely not where it needs to be and seems to have some issues with reliability, and that's something that I'm glad we're seeing some changes to. And the same thing applies with audio. Audio isn't great in 2042, and the audio mix can sometimes be troublesome to identify positional location, but again, it seems to be that there have been some critical changes in this place, and I'll have to see how that goes over time. However, initial impressions definitely did seem that the audio balance and audio mix had been improved. Overall, I've got to say, I'm really happy with this update. It feels like they had to squeeze it out, and that's a good thing. It meant that they were, working really hard to get this update on the ground before the holidays went live, which greatly improves the gameplay experience. When aim assist, gunplay, audio, and even the annoyances of balancing and the annoyances of rooftop objectives on Breakthrough have been completely diminished before the Christmas period, then we're into a much better space now. We're into a space where Battlefield's primary issues are now quality of life issues that can be improved on, rather than in-game balancing issues. Now, whilst I'm sure balance is still going to be a problem in the not too distant future, I'm glad that these very obvious and very glaring issues have been stomped out. And this update makes the 4th update we've seen post-launch, and considering Battlefield launched in mid-November and has 4 updates between mid-November and December 9th is a really impressive feat. Whilst I know that many of you will be disappointed with the launch of the game, how the game has been, and just the general situation surrounding 2042, there's no denying that the development team are working incredibly hard here, and that this is a very impressive level of update cadence. We've never seen this many updates in such a short period for any Battlefield game, and it's very rare really for any kind of AAA first-person shooter. Not to mention the fact that we're going to have Battlefield Direct Communications being able to hot switch and change things over the holiday period if something appears to be unbalanced or broken. Whilst I know it's difficult to celebrate something that kind of feels like they're scratching the surface on a really large dent, it's definitely a step in the right direction, and a very healthy step in the right direction that shows to me personally that this was far more of a publisher decision that was made as opposed to a development decision. The devs very obviously understand the issues with the game and very obviously are pushing a lot of updates very quickly to resolve those problems. Ultimately, if you're somebody who's playing 2042 anyway and not somebody who's waiting for it to improve and get into a better place, these are going to be some pretty good improvements to the game that I think a lot of people are going to value. Again, if you're an existing player of Battlefield 2042, this ticks a lot of boxes in all the right ways, and I think it's going to push people into a really good direction. So folks, that's about it for this video today. Of course, we're going to be covering plenty of 2042, plenty of Warzone, and plenty of other FPS games over the Christmas and holiday period. As always, folks, feel free to drop a like, and of course, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 100k. I appreciate it. Hope you guys are having a great Christmas period, and I'll see you in the next one.